What's up, everybody? Coach Stefan. I'm here with our client Riley. He's been in our program about 8 months-ish. Do you mind just introducing yourself, letting know people where you're from, what you do for work, and then we'll kind of dive in.
Hey guys, I'm Riley. I am 29 years old from Arvada, Colorado, suburb of Denver, and I am a firefighter paramedic.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, you've made a lot of really good progress in the program, as we were just chatting before we started recording this. Um, I want to know, like, what was the first thing? Oh, how long have you been in like the EMS community? Or
I have been in EMS going on 9 years now. I started in October of 2017.
Okay, yeah. So a while. A lot of our members are, almost 10 years plus. I mean, we have some newer people too. But what was the thing that made you join Pursuit in the first place? Like 8 months ago when you're like, all right, we had a call. What was the thing that kind of prompted you to even reach out and get interested in doing the program?
So the initial reason was I was kind of going through a bit of a hard time in my life personally. Just dealt with a pretty gnarly breakup and I needed to make some changes. I started noticing that I was not doing well on the fire ground. Like I could still do all the skills, but I was gassed halfway through it. Scrolling through Instagram one day and saw Pursuit pop up and decided to check them out. Saw that you guys were for veterans and first responders, and was like, I need to make a change in my life, and this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. What specifically, and I'm glad that you hit that realization. Not everybody, when they're going through a hard time, that's the first thing. But I think sometimes in our life, we get to these moments where we're like, we can kind of go one way or the other, right? It's like,
Yeah.
hey, this is kind of a reset, right? Whether you have kids or get out of breakup, like these life events, and that's kind of our decision, right? Do I go left or right? Obviously, you went the right direction. But what were some things you were looking for, like within, guidance, nutrition, training, like when joining our program or looking for some help? Was it something specific?
Originally, it was for a lot of just the guidance in working out and training. Like I knew what muscle groups that I needed to hit. I just didn't know like a good progression or a good schedule to be able to do that. I used to do a lot of just random workouts here and there. And like we talked about in our initial intake call, it was just random results. So I wasn't seeing any progression.
Yeah.
And then it went to getting help with nutrition. And since then, it's become a huge part of my life. Every week, it doesn't matter what I've got going on, the gym is my priority.
Yeah. Look at that. Habit change. Love it.
Hmm.
Um, because like you played hockey most of your life too, right? So
Yes, sir.
very athletic. Did you do a lot of like lifting and training for hockey through the years?
No, a lot of the trainings that we would do were more endurance based, so short sprints, drags and everything like that, but not a lot of actual weight training.
What about the academy? Do you feel like the academy set you up for success for training in your career?
The academy definitely helped set me up for success. The one thing with our department though is they do a lot of CrossFit based training versus isolated strength training and then building it up.
Yeah. And I ask that because I think generally, I personally think for the most part, the system is a little bit broken, right? I think that like if you ask almost any vet or first responder, when were you in the best shape of your life? Almost always for our police, our fire, our military, they say the academy or boot camp.
Hmm.
Right? And so what I think happens, and this is why I created Mission Ready, is because I think you graduate and then you're like, hey, best of luck. And then you throw like an actual life on top of it. And for a lot of our people, a family and schedule. And then it's like, dude, the reason you were consistent is because you had discipline, you had structure, you knew what to do, you had accountability because you didn't have a choice. Like kind of the same things we've integrated in here, right? Like you have a coach, you have a plan, and so that's what we try to take a lot of the structure. And I think, yes, there's some departments that maybe do a really good job. But when I was in the military, there wasn't a lot of like mandatory PT. Some squadrons have it. And so I saw people, get in and then they started to get fatter and fatter and fatter and out of shape. And, like you've seen it, 9 years
Hmm.
in. Um, and so I'm glad that you were able to kind of build off of it, but it sounds like it wasn't really working for you, right? You didn't want to do the CrossFit stuff. You wanted something that was actually going to help you build some muscle. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
It wasn't just so endurance based.
Yes, sir. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that like Ryan's been having me do, I've even at the beginning stages helped a lot with the endurance and just being able to keep up. And I noticed it pretty quickly, both on the ice and at work. I could be able to do a lot of these in-gear workouts and not feel completely gassed the entire time.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, once you get out of the academy and stuff, it's kind of all right, this is on you. Yes, you have to meet your minimum requirements for your annual physical, but there's no accountability. There's no like, hey, this is the time that we are going to set aside to go work out, and this is what we are doing.
Yeah. And I think it's still kind of blows my mind that like the fire in general and law enforcement and military, we all know what we thrive off of. Like that's why they do it like that. Like we need the structure. We need the
Hmm.
organization. We need the discipline. We need the regimented routine. And we do need accountability because we're humans. And then I feel like post academy boot camp, it's like it all disappears. And then we're like, oh, why are you getting out of shape? It's like, well, dude, you literally took away every tool that I had that made me successful and in the first place, and that's how we're designed, So that's why we implement it like that. But I'm curious, like, what do you think your biggest struggles were before joining, besides maybe the stuff we talked about? Like, was there anything that you felt like, man, this was really holding me back from gaining the muscle and gaining the strength?
Nutrition, 100% it was. Because I always figured, oh, I'm eating my meat and I'm drinking a protein shake, so I'm going to be great. I knew nothing about having the right amount of protein and the right amount of calories and cutting out and especially at the beginning, the thing that I struggled with the most was my carb intake because it's like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like I'm staying under my calories and I'm hitting my protein goal. But then the more and more I started cutting out the carbs, the more I realized, wow, I actually do feel better. I actually am seeing a change.
Yeah. Yeah. And then carbs are important for fuel, but again, yes, if you're like, oh, I'm hitting my protein and my calories, and then all the rest of your calories are coming from carbs,
Hmm.
right? You're not balancing out your macros with fat and stuff. Yes. Um, well, what were like your top three? I mean, so obviously nutrition was kind of the biggest thing you needed help with, which
Hmm.
probably no surprise to you. That's most of the first responder community, right? Like most of y'all aren't great with nutrition, and I know that, and that's kind of why we focus really heavily on that. And you'd be surprised, or maybe not surprised, almost every guy I talk to that's a cop or firefighter is like, dude, my nutrition sucks. Like if I
Yeah.
just got that dialed in, and yeah, that's where a lot of the physical results come from, right? But when you first started, like what were like the couple goals you had going into the program? Was it just to be stronger or leaner, or what did you want to achieve inside this program?
The couple goals that I wanted to achieve, one was just to lose weight and have an actual plan going forward with it. But then the other goal I would say was just getting stronger so that way I could be reliable on the fire ground and just feel better about myself.
Yeah. Have you accomplished it? Like, let's talk some numbers, man. Like, 8 months in, where did you start it with your weight and body fat, and where are you at now?
So 8 months, when I first started this in April, I was sitting around 245 with about a 32% body fat. Um, I just rechecked my weight. I'm sitting down at 216 right now. And when I did my in-body composition for my annual physical, I was sitting at 22% body fat. So 12% body fat's gone, and I've dropped over 30, almost 30 pounds total since I've started this.
How much muscle have you put on?
A shit ton.
Yeah, I got to see your in-body scan. I know you posted it in the wins chat, but I remember seeing it, and you did put on muscle, and I think that's very important for those of you listening. Like you can get on a program that helps you, and we say we do this, and we're not joking. You have a in-body, right, which is like a $12,000 scale. It's not just like it's like a legit calibrated thing. It shows that you have burned body fat, built lean muscle, and increase your performance at the same time, right?
Yes, sir.
It's kind of what we help our community do. So it's cool to see the science actually backing that up. And then again, like you said at the beginning, dude, you could do two pull-ups. Now you can do multiple sets, 5 sets of 8 to 10. You're running 5 miles, and it's not just one component either. It's not like, hey man, when I was in the Air Force, I always joked that like they want you to be gazelles. like run fast, but they don't really care about your strength. The Army has done a good job and recently revamped their PT tests and some other branches, but like before it was just push-ups, run sit-ups, right? So it
Hmm.
was like, oh, you're just this, like the guys that were 120 would crush it and the big muscle guys. But it's cool to see that all components are happening for you. You lost 30 pounds, 12% body fat, which by the way is freaking awesome. I mean, that's a very good progress. Obviously, Ryan's told you that. Um, and then you've gained strength and good cardio. And that's important for us because when we say, hey, we want you to kind of be a 360 tactical athlete, like that's what we're talking about, dude. Exactly what you've done. So hats off to you. I know it hasn't been easy. I know you worked your ass off to get here and you're really diligent and disciplined. Um, and you should be proud of yourself, man. But I kind of am curious, like, the program obviously has worked for you. You got a couple months left, at least in the program. It's been really good. But what were maybe some of the hesitations and fears you had before joining? Because I think for most people, like this was your first online coach, right?
Hmm.
Um, what were some of those things that maybe were like, I don't know, like this maybe skeptical or
I think the initial hesitation was just the fact that it was all online virtual and not actually having someone like there in your face tracking everything like pen and paper.
yeah,
So I think that was definitely a little bit of a hesitation. And I think just because of being a firefighter and being raised blue collar, I was born to be skeptical about everything, especially when you find stuff online. It's like, oh, this could be really bad. But then looking at all the interviews online, actually having you reach out and talk to me in person and Ryan talk to me in person was huge and alleviated a lot of that.
yeah. It's important to talk about too, because mostly everybody I'm going to interview says the same thing. And I know, I'm like, Stefan, why did you pick an online company? No. But like, valid, dude. I say this to every person I talk, just like when we had our, discovery call and every person I meet them on Zoom. That's part of the reason, right? Is like,
Yeah.
I get it. Online can be sketchy and super valid, right? It's a logical thing to be like, how can this person help me online? Because and I trained in person for 10 plus years, the training's always been in person, right? Now COVID shifted that, and now I will plant my flag in the sand and say online coaching is far, far more effective for the first responder community than in person will ever be. I'll die on that hill all day long, and I've known it and I've seen it, and the proof's in the pudding of what we do. But valid concern, right? How can this
Hmm.
person online help me, right? But I want to ask you, since you've been in the program, right? Like you had those concerns. How has that been as far as the communication with the coach, the flexibility? Because I think that that's where it's at, right? It's not just the accountability. It's like, how will this actually work for me? How will this person communicate with me? How are they going to hold me accountable? How's that been?
Uh, initially, especially with like the vetting process that you guys have of just saying like, hey, like I'm gonna be very clear and honest, this might not work and we're gonna try our best, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But the communication with Ryan has been huge. I've reached out to him multiple times, especially when I first started. I had a lot of trips coming up, and he built out hotel specific workouts for me, which helped tremendously. And then at the beginning, like I said, I was definitely struggling a lot with the nutrition, and he got on my ass early about it. He was like, dude, like, I'm telling you, this is exactly what you need to do. And if you don't listen, you're not going to see the results. So get it together. And just the open, honest communication. I mean, beginning of this month started, my department started a fitness challenge called the GWOT 100, which is the global war on terrorism. You're just supposed to get 100 miles within the month of February. Reached out to him, told him that, and telling him that he was going to see a lot more cardio based on my app, and now he's doing it. And I've got all my friends doing it. I actually was managed
Awesome.
to refer one of the friends to Pursuit because of all the progress that I was seeing.
That's epic, dude. Yeah, man. I mean, that's kind of leading from the front, right? Is like being able to be that guy that, hey, like I'm getting in shape and now I feel confident enough to talk about my journey. And we've seen that, with obviously Coach Josh and some other people that have made transformations. And this is what I love about the first responder community. Y'all are very well connected with each other. Good, right? There's like some camaraderie and some brotherhood. And we've seen it with tons and tons of people, not, just with you, where they get in shape, especially the ones in leadership positions, and it's just like influential, right? It's the ripple effect. And that is actually why I part of the reason that I love this community is like if somebody really does make that transformation, you're going to be in contact with a ton of people in your career, right? And if you're in shape and you've done it, you can help that person. Like outside of our program, like you're eventually going to leave, dude. I know that. But I want you to be able to have the knowledge and the confidence and honestly just kind of lead by example. Being able to say, man, hey, I was, 240. Now I'm maybe you get down to 190. You're like, I made this transformation. I'm in great shape. I did it. Like these are the things I do. And, as you move up in your ranks and careers, that is leading from the front. That is like doing what you need to do. And that's awesome, man.
I've
Uh,
even kind of switched my crew's mindset too of going from eating like these like really hearty, like filling meals to cutting back and being lighter, being a lot more healthy, trying to find better options where we would use like 73-17 or whatever ground beef to 93-7, more chickens being incorporated. And my crew, especially, has been more focused on fitness. An engineer that we have who maybe would work out once a month, if that, is now working out every day that we're on shift. And my crew does a lot of crew workouts together, whether it's in gear or just being down there with each other.
do you feel like you played a part in that?
Absolutely.
Dude, that's awesome. You made my day. That's cool though, right? To see that, dude. Like and it started with you. And it's like so powerful because I try to tell, a lot of our first responders, like, dude, it might start with you. Like you might be the guy. You might not think it, but you might be surprised. And, people in a good way sometimes are like sheep, like in a good way, because you're like, you feel that social pressure. I know how it was too. You're like, hey, we're all working out. Then the one guy that never would have is like, okay. And then he loses
Yeah.
some weight and he's like, and then now, dude, you've set a different, excuse me, you set a different standard and culture within your department. And I'm like, that is it. That's it. It literally takes one. So, dude, that freaking gives me goosebumps. That's awesome to hear that. So rewinding just a little bit, like I know it's obviously Ryan's had good communication and customize it. I want to ask one question because I do think this might be the biggest concern for a lot of firefighters is like, will it work with my schedule? Aside from obviously traveling, but like, is it adjustable with the nutrition and training? How's that been?
Absolutely. Originally, we started off doing 3 days a week for the first couple weeks and then moved to four. And now I'm doing 5 days a week. And I'm even noticing that I'm doing workouts on my off days on Saturdays and Sundays because I enjoy it so much.
Yeah.
And he builds out this program has been built out to where you can do it whenever as long as you get it in. When I'm on shift, he is able to tailor it back a little bit to where it's a little bit more endurance based. When I'm off shift, then it's more strength based. So that way I'm not completely smoking myself on duty. And even when I went to back in August, I was down in Pueblo for 2 weeks for a hazmat class. And he built out a entire program just based off of the equipment at that hotel alone.
Yeah.
And he got me a good nutrition plan, but he's like, I get it. You're going to be traveling. You're probably going to be out eating. Just here's the goals I want you to hit. Try to stay within these parameters. If not, we'll work on it on the back end.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad he did his job, right? Prior
Absolutely.
preparation, right? And that's why we asked you on the forums, like, hey, what's coming up this week? Is there anything so we can be prepared? Makes sense. But then also the hyper customization, man. And I get a lot of firefighters, maybe they're a lot in a program, maybe they're working out at a home gym or commercial gym, or their station has different equipment. So literally being like, hey, tell me what you have, take a video, take pictures, like that, customize, and that way we can adjust it as you go in. And again, your life and for a lot of our first responders, it's not going to look the same week to week. It's going to change, is why we need to get it customized. And I also love that you're like, hey, I started at 3, but now I'm at 5 because every first responder we work with is like, man, I'm really busy. I know. Okay. But it's cool to see that at the beginning, right? It kind of probably felt maybe a little more like a chore. Like, I'll see if I can fit this in. But then
Hmm.
as you're getting progress, you're like, now you want to go to the gym more. It's like, hey, I'm finding time, right? And really it's just making time for it. But it's like you see the results, right? So you're like, hey, I'm not just going to go. As I go, I'm losing weight, I'm getting stronger. So now you want to go a little bit more. And that's pretty common. Like some guys will start off, 2, maybe 3 days a week, right? But as they get progress, all of a sudden they're like, oh, magically I have more time. And it just becomes a priority, more of a priority, and the habit set. And it does become easier, right? Like I'm
It
sure
does.
going 5 days a week now, and tell me if I'm wrong, but it probably felt easier than going 3 days a week in the beginning.
100% it does. And kind of hitting back on what you were saying about like you said, at the beginning, it was kind of a chore. It's like, shit, I got to get this workout in. Like, I got to make sure that I'm hitting all these things. And now it just is second nature. And yeah, I'm a busy person. I've got 3 jobs. I had class this morning. I went to the gym right before. I'm teaching tomorrow, and I'm going to go before that. And just fitting it in every chance I get, even when I'm on shift, we make it a priority on our list of to-dos of I'm going to be in the gym ideally from this time to this time, call depending and training depending, but
Yeah.
this is when I'm going to be there, and no one questions it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, and yeah, you are super, super busy. You got a lot going on, and like you're still able to train that many days a week, right? And it doesn't
Yes,
mean you're in the
sir.
gym for 2 hours, right? But being able to do it and customizing it around the days you're on shift obviously is very important, right? We're not trying to again smoke you guys and you have calls all day. That's dangerous. We don't want that. Like there is an optimal way to do it. And again, having that communication with your coach where you can kind of let him know what's going on is where the meat and potatoes are. Um, what do you think your biggest takeaway has been since being in the program? I know it's hard to maybe come, you can have more than one, but
Consistency and discipline, just staying consistent on what you're doing and making sure that you're doing the right things, not forging around like, oh, I had a chicken breast and that's 50 something grams of protein, so I should be fine. And it's just making sure that you're staying to what you want to do, remembering that goal of why you originally started the program.
yeah. So consistency and discipline, those have gotten better in the last 8 months for
Yes,
sure.
sir.
Okay. So I guess my last two questions is, I think also probably pretty fair. Most people are like, is this going to be a good investment? Right? If I invest in this program and I commit to it, and you're doing a year or so, it's a big commitment when you did it. And you had a big goal. But like, do you feel like it's a good investment? Would you do it again?
I would do it again in a heartbeat I would do it without thinking about it twice. Like we talked about it in the intake interview of a lot of personal trainers out there are charging probably around similar, but they have hundreds of clients. It's not as much of a one-on-one interaction as like what this company has been. So the investment is absolutely worth it.
Yeah, man. I'm glad. And it's like I understand what our community and you're like investing into results. I get that. Like, we can't have you guys investing in a program and not getting new results. And obviously the proof's in the pudding for what you've done. And again, like it does come on you. And I'll say this to everybody. I said to you, like, you got to put in the work, right? And that's why I can't guarantee it. You have to be the guarantee. But what I can tell you is we do have a good system and process, right? And
Yes,
as you've
sir.
seen before you joined and as you've been in the community, it's not just you that's winning. I mean, you see the community and the chats and our group calls. It's a lot of people. And so I know we have a good system and process. And yeah, you got to want it, man, which is why we meet on Zoom and I talk to people and I got to make sure that they're both feet in. But I also validate that there's still going to be a little bit of skepticism. Most people that say yes to the program say yes with a little leap for everybody. Like very few like, yeah, sure. Like, it's a little
Yeah.
bit of that angst, but I want to normalize that because I'm like, dude, every person is like that. Every person has those questions. It's normal. You should. But seeing people, I mean, like I know you watched some interviews before you went in, right? So 8 months
Yes,
ago,
sir.
you were in the same spot, man. But you took the leap. What would you say to somebody that is maybe on the fence? That kind of maybe was in your spot, dude. They're been in fire for, 8, 10 years, and they're kind of feeling themselves slip and they're like, I need to do something different, but I don't know if it's gonna work or I don't want to waste my money. Like, what would you tell that person?
I would tell them to definitely watch the interviews and just trust the process. As cliche as that sounds, trust the process. Like you guys have been here for me through a lot. And one thing I can definitely say is one instance where I should have probably slipped up and gone back into bad habits was in October when my dad passed away. But communicating with Ryan and everything like that, it was like, okay, I have a good thing to fall back on. I have the gym where everything just goes quiet and I get to focus on myself. And now I'm becoming a leader in my department. I am able to be fully trusted on the fire ground to where I'm not a liability anymore. And I think that's the biggest thing that I would say is invest into this process because if you feel like you're slipping and like you're going to become a liability, this will help you not be that liability anymore.
Yeah. Well said, man. And yeah, and again, like we try to be your friend, right? We try to make
Yeah.
like an actual personal little connection, right? And I know like Ryan was into hockey and you're like, dude, you have a coach that's perfect for you, right? And I know that because you do work very closely with them. And yeah, we're here through a lot of seasons of life. And we're working with the client for 6 months, 12 months. Like we're gonna go through some life with you, right? Good, bad, and indifferent. And I think for fire, uh, you know, and law enforcement and military, but like your body is your career, your physical and mental health. And just like you would invest in a class or a certification or hazmat or whatever, it's like, dude, well, you can't do any of that if you're fat and out of shape, right? Like
Correct.
that, you have to build, dude, that's the base, man. And again, like our ultimate goal for you too is like, again, eventually you're going to leave. I know that, right? That's the point. And getting these habits and the consistency and getting you to the point where you're like, man, I'm good. Like I could go on my own. I can continue the next 10 plus years of my career and you don't retire dead or broken, right?
That's a goal.
And so being able to move up, because again, like, I mean, you've seen it, right? That's kind of unfortunately what happens a lot of the times. It's like you get more, like a lot of the firefighters, because we have, guys in their 50s, 5 years out, but it's like most of them don't completely let themselves go. It's a slow decline. But now it's really cool to see you going the opposite direction, right? So you're just going to get hopefully in better and better and better shape and, have that really strong baseline for the rest of your career. And so, dude, it's awesome. It's
I mean,
awesome.
because of this program, earlier last year, our department implemented a high physical fitness standard, and they outlined all the parameters and everything like that. And because of this program, I actually felt confident enough that I would be able to achieve it, and I actually was able to achieve the high fitness standard for my department, which was never possible before.
Nice. What is that? Just getting a certain score on your PT test or?
Yeah, so our physical fitness consists of box step ups, push ups, inverted rows, and there is one other thing that I'm missing, and then a run essentially. So the run is an incline run, it's a met test. And at the end, you have to hit at least 13 minutes and 30 seconds at a incline of 15 at 5 miles an hour. Absolutely brutal. Would not recommend it to anybody, honestly. But I was able to hit it and I felt great afterwards.
Yeah, dude. That's awesome. And that's like something you probably never thought 8 months ago.
Not at all. I would have been surprised if I was able to make it 12 minutes on that damn thing.
Damn. Dude, that's huge, bro. Well, again, like I'm proud of you. Coach Ryan's proud of you. And you should be proud of yourself, man. I mean, like nobody's making you do it. Like you are committing to show up every day for yourself. And I'm glad that it's paid off, man. And I'm excited to see, what's going to happen over the next 4 months and beyond and how far we can kind of get you. So yes, keep trusting the process. We know what we're doing. It would not behoove us to tell you the wrong thing and not get you good results. So it sounds simple, but it's harder when you're in it, right? When you're not seeing the progress or the workouts are difficult or whatever. It's like, dude, I promise you, just trust your coach. We know what we're doing.
Hmm.
We wouldn't have a company if we told you to do the wrong thing. But it is hard to kind of trust it. But yeah, man, if you're able to, like we have good coaches and a good process. And I think because we can kind of make it tailored to you, proofs in the pudding of what you've done. So I really appreciate you jumping on. It means a lot, dude.
No.
Um, I'm sure another firefighter is going to watch this and they're kind of in the same boat where you are. So I really do appreciate you taking time out of your day and giving some feedback. Keep busting your ass.
Yes, sir.
And then we'll see you on the inside, man.
See you later, man. Thank you
Cool,
again
cool.
for inviting me and allowing me to do this.
Yeah, for sure, man.